Right, when you got this lineup in where you got expecting, we've talked about that scenario, but then you got in this, what would become the best in the West bot lane. It was Ven and Mithy. You brought them in. Let's just do the conversation. You've alluded to it a few times ago. But the thing about Mithy I find most interesting is, funnily enough, early on in his career, I remember when he came in the EULCS and he was just like the stud Thresh player who was like a fucking sick mechanical player. He was kind of like the support version of Forgiven. It was all about like, I'm going to smash this lane and I'm going to beat them all. Like, and he had a massive trash talk personality, a big ego. But I noticed later in his career, he actually tried to transition to being like, it was more about his brain than his hands. It was like, what could he do in the map and what did he see and how could he help a teammate or little tweaks. But the problem is, if people have watched my reflections with Mithy, he's one of those people where, even though I admire this quality, it's not great for interviews, where they're too humble and so they won't ever take credit for all the shit they did. And they'll just sort of make it sound easy, like, I just, got 5 people on the same page to do the right thing at the right time. Which is like, listen, that's such a vague thing. I don't even know what to take from that. But I do know what he means. But at the same time, it's hard to explain to a fan what that means. So can you explain what did Mithy bring to a team? What kind of role did he play? And especially if you want to give some like meta insights. I mean, obviously it's years down the line. We're not trading. No, these aren't trade secrets anymore. Some of those would be welcome.
I think he was just a natural leader, and everyone accepted him as the leader within the team because he was the one that was, when there were problems within the team, he would feel them and call them out. Or if players were struggling in scrims or just not being serious, he would call them out. He would sometimes get in huge heated arguments with Sven and start shouting, but then 10 minutes later they would hug him and be like, okay, it's cool, bro, let's go next. So everyone knew they could fight with him, they could argue with him. Everything came from pure intentions. He wanted to win, and he was going around it in the right way. Where maybe 1% of the time he was passive aggressive, and the 99% he was actually just trying to solve the problems in a very mature manner, and that got him a lot of respect from the players. So that's just how he is. And I think in terms of how his branding was, he was definitely a lane god back in Sinners Never Sleep. I think it was in Lemon Dogs. He may have lost a little bit of confidence because he also joked quite a lot that he's not the guy that hits skill shoots. He doesn't skill shots.
Right.
He doesn't throw the Thresh Q. He's just going to lantern. I think it came mostly from confidence. I think he's better than he gives himself credit for, also mechanically. But yeah, generally just natural. He was very respected by the players just because of how he was and how he was tackling the problems in a very mature manner.
Right, in journalism, we do kind of say that, like, unfortunately, people throw around the term genius, like, way too loosely. Like, anyone who does anything clever is a genius. In League of Legends, was he, if not a genius, a great mind for the game? Because I noticed when I talk to him, it's like, I don't get even the sense that he just, like, copied Koreans like everyone else was back there. I get the sense that, like, he kind of, like, boiled down the situation, just figured out what the fundamental way the dynamic of something worked, like the way you rotated into a team fight or the way you take a tower and then what that can lead to. Like, what would you say about his mind for the game?
So I think this comes back to the topic of who is the Western GOAT. And so very quickly, I think Caps is the best player of all time, but I think Perkz has had the most positive impact value on the entire region by just making G2 great with his personality in combination with his skill. And I think Mithy is a very close second into how much he brought to EU, because the way I look back at it, the Korean teams, the Chinese teams, and also Flash Rules at the time, they were far, far ahead in macro. And how the EU teams were kind of going about this, they were trying to solve one game at a time. So we would scrim, we would review, and we would go on the individual problems of that game. And then we got our asses blasted by Flash Wolves in the EU Masters 2017. And on the way
IEM or whatever it was, wasn't it?
It was IEM, sorry,
Yeah.
IEM, yeah. Mithy just comes sit next to me in the bus and he's like, Joey, I figured it out. Listen, it's all about tempo. You need to push waves, and when you push the waves, you need to use the map. This is how Flash Rules beat us. We're gonna do this. It was like all over the place. Then talking to the other players, but eventually, we start the next few weeks, and he starts talking about, and it all makes sense. And I think this is the first time where maybe the most important macro concept of all time hit Europe. And then because we were G2, we were winning things, and we were starting to talk about tempo. We were using it. Suddenly all the other teams started copying us and getting better. And I think that really pushed the region forward, because it was, I think, the first big step towards becoming a region that has good macro.